boom, we still continue on with our adventure. That's right. Welcome one and all to Chicago Reacts. My name is Kit. So welcome one and all. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit the ring bell notification. That way all of you are made aware when we upload new content upon our YouTube channel. And today, we have ourselves a fun video to react to. And by the way, again, huge thank you. And saying thank you is not enough for helping us get to 100,000 subscribers. What the H? Epic stuff. And why not have a fun video to check out than otherwise see the world's most one-sided fistfight caught on film? Star Wars vs. Warhammer 40K Episode 3, Good Soldiers. So as always, folks, for Chicago Reacts, and as a favor from me, please, you hip cool cats, you guys and gals, support the original content creators. Why? Because it's the right thing to do, and I expect all of you to do that. So check out A Fan With Too Much Time. That way you could help them continue on with, building up their channel, making more content, all that other kind of good stuff. So subscribe, support, do the right thing. I expect all of you to do the right thing. So do that as a favor from me, for me. Do that. It's the right thing to do. So now, enough of me talking. Let's check this out. How the glorious Imperium will push back against the hateful and mean Star Wars. Episode 3, Good Soldiers. And to be clear here, I think I've seen all of Season 1. And now, because I'm a huge fan, and because of your feedback, all of you want us to keep on checking this out more. So I'm going to obey your orders and continue on with this adventure. And if you like more of this, give us your feedback, give us your thoughts, because without all of you, we would not exist. So thank you, and let's play this video in a 3, a 2, a 1. Good soldiers. Praise the Omnissiah.
What is wrong with the ship? 8th Captain Nexus Lente yelled over the sounding alarms and creaking rumbling of the battle barge, Master of Light. It sounded as if the whole vessel was being beaten by an endless rain of power fists, and while Chapter Master Orion remained composed as he sat within his command throne, his gauntleted hands were tight about the armrests, and he would have fractured the stone if it had not been a steel command throne. He had seen near unceasing war for over 700 years. Was this how the Emperor ended his service?
Damn, 700 years of unending war. Glorious for the Emperor.
He shoved the thought back into the corners of his mind. Best to consider such things after the event in question. And the event in question had been going on for hours, slowly getting worse and worse. "What's wrong with the ship?" Captain Aurelian repeated. "We're flying through the damned warp without a functioning navigator. That's what's wrong with the Emperor-damned ship!" he yelled. "It isn't warp turbulence, my lords," shouted one of the tech adepts, her wired, integrated body twitching and convulsing somewhat as the machine spirit of the vessel fed her information directly. It's the Delafield, my lords," she yelled a moment later. "Emperor's teeth!" the captain cursed. "Prepare."
Ooh. Oh, man. You don't want those Gellerfields to go down. Otherwise, you'll end up like the poor souls of the Event Horizon. Yes, I know. Very controversial subject to bring up. Event Horizon isn't part of Warhammer 40K. Well, it's pretty damn close. Especially when you open a portal to another dimension and then people start having a crazy murder blood orgy. And they start ripping each other apart. But, Event Horizon is pretty much, it is safe to assume, 40K related. distant cousin. But in my mind, I'm going to say Event Horizon did take place in a 40K timeline. So, yeah. You need to have a functioning Gellerfield. Otherwise, you'll end up RIP to the first expedition fleet or first expeditionary traverse like the Event Horizon people. You just don't want to go there. Liberate yourselves. Save yourself from hell. If you get the reference I'm talking about, you're awesome.
Prepare for warp incursions! Orion bellowed, raising himself unsteadily from his pitching, quaking throne. No, my lord, it isn't like that, the tech adept yelled over the din of the bucking ship and the ringing and clicking of drawn weapons. Report, he barked. The Gellerfield isn't failing. It's too powerful. It's not meeting enough resistance. My lord, if we do not power it down to an adequate output, the excess energy will continue to build. It's going to tear the ship apart. Are you seriously suggesting weakening the Gellerfield during warp travel? Has Horus stolen your sense? Captain Aurelian boomed. Do it, the chapter master ordered. What? Aurelian yelled. As you command, the tech adept called, but Aurelian was on her almost before she could move, wrapping one of his massive gauntlets around her skull from behind. Take that field down, and I'll...
Hold on. I just want to double check that person's name again. If it was Aurelian, R.I.P. to the greatest emperor ever.
As you command, the tech adept called, but Aurelian was on her almost before...
Awesome name. For those who don't know, Aurelian is the name of the greatest hero to ever walk the earth. No, he's a real person. Blessed by soul, Aurelian reunited the Roman Empire in 5 years. But because of the actions of petty, weak men, he was murdered. R.I.P. Aurelian.
Before she could move, wrapping one of his massive gauntlets around her skull from behind. Take that field down, and I'll take you down, he growled over the speakers in his helmet. Captain Aurelian knew that they had little chance of survival if a demonic incursion should occur, even with a flickering, fluctuating Gellerfield. But there would be no chance of survival if the whole field failed at once. Captain, get off her! Crewmen, do it now! Orion roared, taking a few steps in their direction. Captain Aurelian did not release the woman, though neither did he rip her head from her shoulders as her trembling hand reached up to the crank lever on her console and slowly pulled it down below halfway. As she did, the whole ship began to calm, the rattling and pounding diminishing until completely vanished. Gellerfield holding at 31% output, she reported. There was a pause then, as everyone, with the exception of the tech adept herself, took a moment to express their relief as tense muscles slackened and held breaths rushed out as sighs. Even Captain Aurelian himself couldn't help grinning inside his helmet from the lifting of the sudden danger, though he had not opened his hand. Though Orion had also breathed out a gust of anxiety, his eyes had never left his subordinates. Captain Aurelian, your penance is already going to be severe, the chapter master said through gritted teeth. And it's only going to get worse the longer you ignore me. Release. Now. The captain opened his hand and pulled away from the crewman like a man who had picked up a glowing coal by mistake, stepping back from the tech adept's control alcove. My apologies, he said to the chapter master, before turning to offer them to the adept as well, though it grated on him to do so. To you as well. The woman stared straight forward, shoulders trembling only slightly, though she did offer a stiff nod, not trusting her voice to speak. Back to your station, Captain. Crew, report. Ship formation is at cohesion. The report came from a servitor, half fused into the wall of his control station, fingers mindlessly clicking against keys as readings scrolled across his unblinking bloodshot eyes.
That was actually pretty tense right there. Because let's face it, you don't want to mess around with the Gellerfield.
It is confirmed, sir. Nearly all ships are experiencing the same turbulence we are, but with the exception of the Atlas of Steel, all ships are remaining within range of the main fleet. The eddies and currents of the warp appear placid, my lord. Contact the fleet. Give them instructions to level their Gellerfield outputs out. Tell them it is a direct order from me. Yes, my lord. Orion stared at the large hololithic displays projected before him, eyes wide as he watched the fleet formation queue up. So many ships, all still lined up, all still on the path, all still alive. He almost wanted to call for yet another confirmation. How was it possible? Ship formation cohesion? This many hours into the warp? Normally, only about 70 or 60% of the fleet arrived at their destination in any kind of formation, with a certain amount arriving before the rest of the fleet, a certain amount arriving long after, and a disturbing portion simply never being heard from again. But full formation cohesion in the warp was unheard of, impossible, and yet... Give me...
The Emperor. The Emperor protected you. Your faith in him protected you. The Emperor protects. Take that, the Force. Oh yeah, see? Through and through.
The last known status of the Atlas of Steel. What kind of ship is it? The chapter master ordered. Yes, Lord. It appears to be a Universe-class mass conveyor, one of the 5 we managed to secure for the evacuation. The cargo here is listed as several megatons of ceramite, but they are likely carrying survivors from Calistan and Jubilation of Tal. They appeared to be increasing their Gellerfield outputs just before they pulled ahead. Feth! One of the captains spat. Has my message been sent yet? Orion asked. Yes, my lord. Confirmation sendings have been received from all ships. Most are complying. Most? Growled the venerable space marine. Yes, my lord. The Hand of Catastrophe, the Heart of Judgment, and the Pillar of Termination have not yet lowered their output levels. Their ships are still shaking apart. Damn those green crews. Send the message again. Make it clear that they will be destroyed if they persist. If not by the turbulence, then by me at the conclusion of this jump. Tell them! The crewman acknowledged again, and Orion sat down, laying
Follow the orders of the chapter master.
against the throne. There was nothing to do now, but wait to arrive. He wondered briefly if the Atlas of Steel was lost, or if it would arrive months late, or if it was already there, waiting for him and his fleet, along with whatever had been there already, waiting for them. By the core, Dr. Sheena muttered. Her wide eyes reflected the engine lights and sublight trails of hundreds of ships. The new armada, for that was what it was, ranged from the sleek teardrop design of tens of Conqueror-class assault ships to the lopsided hulks of KDY Class C frigates. And where they had started with only 3 Venerator-class Star Destroyers, 2 of which the Chancellor had provided for them, now they had nearly 30. I had no idea that Pazab was this close to Rothana, she muttered for perhaps the 3rd time. Rothana, an industrialized world surrounded by shipyards, was technically a subsidiary of Quat Drive Yards, or at least working in that capacity.
Quad Drive Yards, the same people who gave us the X-Wing. Hashtag, if you want to fly well, fly with the X-Wing. Wait, I think that's the people who made the X-Wing. That's going to probably upset a Star Wars fan, but don't worry. Disney probably got rid of that canonicity and gave it to somebody else. I know. I'm so sorry, Star Wars fans, what Kathleen Kennedy did to you guys. Warhammer 40K Games Workshop. Never forget what they did to Star Trek and Star Wars. At least you suffered the same fate.
That much Dr. Sheena had known already. What she had not known about was that it was the rings of Rothana, not the well-known shipyards at Planet Kuat itself, that was supplying the Republic with over 70% of their war machines. I must say, it was a surprise to me as well, said Jedi Knight Ren-Fi, arms crossed as he stood beside Dr. Sheena on the bridge, both looking out through the huge viewing ports. It would appear that the location of Rothana has been a closely guarded secret until now. It is fortunate that Kuat of Kuat saw it as prudent to deploy the defense fleet here at our request. Nearly the entire KDY corporate security starfleet. I have to say, it's a surprisingly proportional response, Dr. Sheena said. What she didn't say out loud, but wondered deeply, was just how the Supreme Chancellor had managed to coax this kind of reaction out of Kuat, a man known to be as stubborn as he was rich. She looked around, only now noticing the two conspicuous absences in the room. "General," she said cautiously, "where is CT-1238, and where did your annoyingly insightful apprentice get off to?" "Captain Kraken is currently on the Bellajor. He was quite insistent that we be commanding different command ships," said Renfai. He shrugged at his own words. "To be honest, I think he was just eager to command one of those updated Venators. The captain has always been very keen on his starships. As for Gaffin, he's still meditating.
Yeah, that's right. He was messing around too much.
He will continue to do so for another hour." Sheena tilted her head at the Jedi. "You know, if he hadn't convinced me to report this to you, we might still be sitting here with only 3 ships." The Trandoshan made a strange hiss, which Dr. Sheena realized was a laugh. "That is precisely why the last hour will be his 3rd hour only." She didn't quite understand how that explained anything, and was about to say as much, when suddenly... "Alert! We've got activity!" Both scientist and Jedi snapped their gazes forward, eyes searching instinctively as they waited for the sensor operator to elaborate. But Dr. Sheena was shocked yet again, as her eyes picked out a distortion? "What is it, Ensign?" the Jedi asked. I don't know, sir. I've never seen readings like these," the clone said, leaning over his console as if he was simply not seeing it correctly. Dr. Sheena rushed over to the station, looking at the readings herself. "Well, guess," Renfai ordered. "I honestly don't know, sir. Black hole, maybe?" "What?" the Jedi hissed. "No," Dr. Sheena said. "It's not a singularity. It's a
portal,"
she stuttered, eyes shooting between the readings on her screen and the growing, rippling pool of purple and black energy. "What is it, Doctor? Tell me," Renfai insisted. "It's a gate," she said. "Well, miss," the clone beside her said, "your gate is opening pretty wide. Diameter of the anomaly is 1 kilometer and growing." "Inform the fleet," Renfai ordered. "Have them form up around us and back off. We don't want to come off as any more hostile than we have to." "Are you insane?" Dr. Sheena said suddenly, spinning to face the Jedi. "If we can get the drop on them, then we should. Even with the fleet we have here, the Armada, it still might not be enough. We have to use every advantage." "Doctor, I appreciate your advice, but this is my command. I will not fire on anyone without a more defined reason, and by assembling ourselves into such an overly hostile formation, we give strangers an excuse to attack first." Dr. Sheena grit her teeth, but nodded. She knew she wouldn't get anywhere arguing with him, so she watched as the fleet began to assemble itself, as the visible, writhing distortion grew larger and larger. And then... "Something is emerging from the anomaly," the clone at the sensors reported. "How big? How many?" asked Renfai.
One, probably.
There was no need to answer.
One big old ship.
Bother, too stupefied by what was transpiring before them. From the pulsating sphere of unnatural, swirling energy, a single unthinkably enormous ship slid out of the breach. It was like nothing Dr. Sheena had ever seen before, and she briefly wondered if she was looking at some kind of space station and not any kind of ship classification. But as its city-sized engines roared to fiery life, she realized in horror that this was no stationary construct, but some kind of truly gargantuan starship. "By the Force," the clone beside her breathed. Dr. Sheena looked down at the console and then back up at the unnaturally bloated craft. 12 kilometers long, 3 kilometers high, 2.5 wide, she reported in place of the clone. And it's damaged, she added. Confirm that, Renfai ordered the clone. The trooper did as he was bid, looking down over his screens and tapping on his controls. She's right, sir. It's venting atmosphere around several of its decks. Power fluctuations are being detected all across its structure. No shields detected, and it seems to be making its way towards Pazab. Is it going to attempt a landing? Renfai asked. I don't... Wait. Sir, one of the ships of the fleet is not obeying the muster at our lines, the clone reported. What? Who? Renfai asked. It's the Belajor, sir. Captain Kraken, hail him. There was a pause then, and Dr. Sheena took the opportunity to...
I forgot this part. Oh, so the Republic wants to draw first blood? You're moving out of formation, challenge one of the Emperor's glorious ships? How dare you? Yeah, seriously, how dare you?
To look at the sensor suite again. Sure enough, there was Captain Kraken's Venator, far out of line with the rest of the fleet, and on a clear intercept course with the outsider ship. From the looks of it, he had been moving towards it from the very moment it appeared. Well, is he responding? No, sir. Interference? Jamming? Renfai posited. Not from the looks of it, sir. Contact with the rest of the fleet is operating normally. It almost looks like he's just ignoring us, Renfai growled. Order the nearest ships to tractor beam his Venator. Drag him back here. I'm sorry, General, but it looks like he's out of range. Should we pursue? No! He's on an intercept course with the ship. If we give chase after him, it will look like an attack. Then what, sir? What do we do? Dr. Sheena had never seen a Trandoshan sweat, most likely because it was impossible. But at that moment, she figured Renfai was the closest to sweating of any of his species. For several moments, he simply stood, arms crossed, face stiff, frozen. Sir?
Uh-oh.
Captain Kraken had his orders, and he was good at following them. Not just because he was the best damn Venator pilot in the entire Gar. Not just because he could thread a hyperspace jump through a Zygerian slave collar. Not just because the enemy capital ship was so stupidly large. Captain Kraken was a good soldier.
No.
All the clones on the Belajor were good soldiers. They knew what the Republic expected of them, what the Supreme Chancellor ordered from them.
Oh, no.
They knew why they were made. To be good soldiers. Good soldiers follow orders.
No.
He activated the special jump setting on the Belajor, disabling the hyperdrive inhibitor safety. The captain waited until the massive ship completely swallowed up all the front-facing viewports, until there was no possible way that he could proceed forward in any direction and not slam directly into the nearly unimaginable hulk of thrust and metal.
Oh, he's gonna do a Holdo removal maneuver. Admiral Holdo, the worst admiral in science fiction history. The only admiral to not wear a uniform. It looks like she's gonna give a gender study class at a university. Admiral Holdo. Right, Rhiannon Johnson. Your story sucked. But that maneuver was pretty cool, even though it made no sense. It's a clever tactic. Clever tactic. Clever tactic.
And
wait, a matter of fact, dare I say it, it wasn't Holdo who invented it. I'm going to reimagine it. Since Kathleen Kennedy destroyed Star Wars, I'm going to destroy her Star Wars. This clone commando came up with that maneuver first.
with a blank, satisfied smile, Captain Kraken, loyal clone commander of the Galactic Republic,
a Kraken maneuver,
activated his ship's hyperdrive and was no more.
Big mistake. Big mistake. Big mistake. Good stuff right there.
Next time. It was over in an instant. I'm counting well over 200 vessels, General. He quickly realized his error when the Courage and the Coruscanti Honor, two fellow Venators that were drifting nearby, were suddenly struck by pillars of crimson light. The guns were so large, massive. By the many moons, one breached the wall! Open fire! All Venators, all turbo lasers, all weapons, fire, fire, fire!
That ain't gonna do anything. How do you think those little ships are gonna handle against the glorious Emperor and his wonderful navy? How dare the Republic? How dare the Republic? Star Wars fans, sign admission of defeat. Your unconditional surrender is demanded. The Emperor protects. Long live Warhammer 40k, the world's most one-sided fistfights. Caught on film. So there you go. You know, it's great that sometimes I forget because, you know, my brain doesn't work all the time. But nonetheless, this was a fantastic video. Again, huge thank you for all of you hip cool cats for helping us get to 100K subscribers. How awesome is that? We got to 100K subscribers. I mean, you guys are awesome. Did you know you're awesome? Yeah, because you're awesome. But we will be continuing on with this wonderful series. A fan was too much time. Please, if you want, please do a favor for me. Please subscribe to A Fan Was Too Much Time. All right, support their channel, help them build up, help them out, do the right thing. And as always, folks, what are your thoughts on Star Wars versus Warhammer 40k? What are your thoughts on, hey, dare I say it, Star Trek versus Warhammer 40k? Who wins? I think we always know who wins. The Emperor and the Imperium. Warhammer through and through. Until then, keep your heads on a swivel, keep on drinking water, keep on winning, keep on being a hip, cool cats that you are. Thank you for helping us get to 100K subscribers. But saying thank you is not enough. And as always, keep being awesome. That's right, you keep being awesome. Keep being awesome. Peace out.